This episode of Go Be Wyoming is brought to you by Fly Sheridan. Save time, fly local, fly Sheridan. The Sheridan County Airport has reliable air service operated by SkyWest Airlines and United. They have a newly remodeled terminal and construction for additional parking underway. Sheridan County is becoming one of the busiest airports in the region. Book your direct flight to Denver today via united.com. This episode is brought to you by Fine Sight and Sound, the premier audiovisual integration company serving the greater Wyoming area, right out of Sheridan, Wyoming. Go to their website at fssavpro.com or call Aaron Perez at 307-751-6585 for more information and a free consultation. Well, cool, guys. Well, I'm excited to help WYO Predicts, help you guys, and kind of go, just get the word out about how you guys go about things like the algorithms. I don't know how much you guys want to share, but I think for people out there, it'll be interesting on how you guys come up with all your predictions and, all that stuff. So, so on today's episode, I'm sitting down with the WYO Predicts. What do you got, like a sports blog, predictions page? What do you guys want to call yourself?
We're like, I guess, predictions page, sports enthusiasts. I don't know.
Yeah. Wyoming, and that should make it clear, Wyoming high school sports, in the state of Wyoming, that's what you guys cover. We've got Charles and Cayden. Cayden's an analyst, and Charles, I guess you're the creator analyst, or?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I do most of the graphics and stuff that we present. So yeah.
Awesome. That's great. And you guys, tell me a little bit about yourselves for people that might not know who you guys are or where you guys are from.
Yeah. So my name's Charles Lalaton. As roommates with Cayden, but our household at college, we're all originally from Lyman, Wyoming. So the southwest corner. And high school sports were always good to us. Like in high school, we participated all across the spectrum, from cross country to football to swimming to track to golf. Like we covered most of what was available in Lyman, but
yeah.
So that made us interested in everything. But yeah, we come from the small town of Wyoming. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Just my name is Cayden Giles, and just from a little small town, Lyman, Wyoming. Played multiple sports, and pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and I just love that, you guys are Wyoming guys, and, creating this predictions page. The first time we talked, you guys didn't expect all the feedback you guys were going to get. I think it was kind of more of a hobby for you guys. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is, something we can provide people and keep people up to date. And then the predictions are cool because that, just builds some more anticipation and some hype around games. So I think it's really cool, and I hope it keeps growing for you guys.
Yeah, like all good things. Like, I don't know, Nike started in the garage in the basement. That's where we were. We were downstairs watching high school state football, and we were like, why the heck don't we do this? Like, there's only one person that does this. So let's give it a shot. And so we started out with just presenting Word documents with this is this, not just a generic, we'll go with Lyman Mountain View because that's what's in our brain from the rivalry. Lyman 52, Mountain View 48, and we just color coded everything and threw it up on a Word document, and that was that. And so slowly, with some feedback from family members, friends, we've been improving and getting to where we're actually a little bit more presentable and professional. And because now it's not that joke that we made in the basement. Hopefully we're getting a little bit more serious.
Yeah. Get like a home office, or start going from there. Yeah. Which state championship game were you guys watching?
We were just watching NFHS because we get it for the month that it's a little bit easier on the wallet for us.
Yeah.
I think we were actually watching a Torrington game.
I think it was the playoff?
Yeah, it was a playoff.
Torrington Mountain View.
Okay.
Last
year, yeah, when Torrington's player went down, and it was a crazy game. And we come up after the game talking about it, and we were like, "Man, who saw that coming?" And we were like, "Wow, yeah, that's something we could do. Like, we could like say, hey, watch out for this." Like, so I mean, it was kind of fun, but yeah, that's basically how it started. We started out with football. We just completed the second full season.
Yeah.
This year, so yeah, second full season of doing predictions, and we're slowly getting out there, fanning out to.
Yeah.
We've done basketball this season for all the regular season games, so it's getting there.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are doing great. And yeah, let's, I coached this year up at Sheridan. So this year, how'd you guys fare for football predictions? Who were surprises maybe out of your team, at the end of the year?
Yeah. So, you always know, Sheridan, Cody, maybe even a Star Valley, like, those couple teams are gonna push.
They'll always run the table.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Just their programs have always been like that. Even when we were in high school, they were always there, or really close anyway.
Yeah, and that's something that we use too. Like, not only with the stats that we use for predictions, we also use our like knowledge from when we were in high school. Like, oh, this coach is still there. Like, he's a pretty dang good coach. Like, we use that knowledge because sometimes, like, I remember our first season when we started predicting, Farson Eden would always lose. Like, no matter what the stats, no matter who they were going against, they were the outlier in the they analyze stats through
the analytics.
Yeah, the analytics. They were always lower. Like, they were always the underdog. And we knew, like, oh, this is a good team. And they ended up going to the state championship game that year. Like, we knew, like, this is a good team. So we have to use what we know to sometimes go across, I guess, what it says. But yeah, going back to the state football, we predicted all the games, the 5 classifications, and we did pretty good. I feel like we were at all the games, and there were some teams that we were like, okay, this team's on a run. Like, we knew that this was going to happen, and we ended up. Let's see. Let me go through here. So we ended up picking Rock Springs over Sheridan, and that
that was a surprise. Not gonna lie, like that, just the way the game turned out. Because I remember the game before in Sheridan, it was close. Like a 3-point game.
Yep.
So I mean, in the state game, it just blew up.
I think the state of Wyoming knew who Colson Kuhn was after that game.
Yeah.
That was an amazing performance. Like, all the eyes were on Schoenfeld, and like, we knew that he was a big star recruited by Wyoming and that. But after that game, I remember we were running around on the field getting pictures and that, and we talked to Kevin from the Sheridan Press, and he was like, this kid, he's a junior. State's gonna know him. He's not going away. He's a junior. And we were all like looking at each other like, oh my gosh, like, this is insane. What a performance. And then when he won Gatorade Player of the Year, we were like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Like, that was an amazing performance from a junior.
Well, and I got to say, being on the staff, he's a great kid as well, off the field, great worker. We'll probably cover this. He's a great wrestler right now, having a good year. I will say, the first game up here, you're absolutely right. It was a dogfight to the end. Colson had to make that big, long run that we had to go on top of that first game. So, very cool. So you guys were at all the games. That's awesome. The other divisions, we're not able to watch them all the way through, but gosh, who played right before the 4A?
Was it a Rocky Mountain Shoshone?
I think.
Yeah, that was an interesting game. Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So we had Shoshone over Rocky Mountain, and No, we had no. Sorry, 52-48. So we picked Rocky because we had been watching Rocky through the season progress and kind of roll over teams and yeah, getting hot at the right time. But and then just like lots of like turnovers. I remember.
Yeah,
there were lots of turnovers and
just
simple
errors, just
Yeah.
little things that could decide a game that you wouldn't think. And that's how that game just ended up.
I remember watching. We were standing on the Rocky Mountain sideline for most of the game, and I remember watching the quarterback after some of those errors, like just kind of. I don't want to say lose composure, but you could tell he was nervous. Like it was a big game for him,
Yeah.
and I think that it. Like I don't remember his name or his year in school, but he definitely performed well through the season, and then when it came down time, I think it got a little big. And I think some of these smaller schools coming to the war in Laramie, War Memorial, that's a big culture shock. Like that's a big difference. And that can play a big difference for these smaller schools that are playing in front of maybe 200 people in the hayfield by the high school. Like that's a big culture shock coming to the war, playing but in front of a big screen, bands, like that's a big deal. And sometimes these kids, like they can crack or they can overperform, like we saw some.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just remember that game. Just it was back and forth early, but then just just mistakes there, and it's kind of a weird game too. But no, you're 100% right. We even see it in the 4A too. Just some kids we expect to maybe have good games, and just it's a big stadium. It's loud. You've got fans from other cities there. I mean, it's a big deal. So let's talk about the Cody game, because that was the day before, and I'm getting stats from some of our reporters that watched it, and I'm like, holy crap. So did you guys have Cody win that one?
Yeah, we did. But the game just was blown up. It was one of those games I was not expecting. I was expecting like I said, earlier in the season, it was to the last last second, literal second, just a heave to the back of the end zone, across the field, which coaches probably hate. So, and they score and win that game, and that's what we were expecting, kind of that like last second or that last 2-minute drive to try and win a football game.
Mm-hmm.
No, the Cody defense took over.
Yeah,
I mean, what was it like?
What an amazing plan, defensive scheme plan. Like I remember like some of those interceptions, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like I was sitting up at the top for this, and I was like, that kid's gonna run 80+ yards back. Like, are you kidding? Like, and then Jackson comes back and runs the field down to their end zone, and that's another pick six, and we're like, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Like, and that I don't remember the specific name of the one defensive player, but he had 2 or 3 interceptions, and I was like, holy smokes!
Yeah. No, and I heard his interview from somewhere, and he just said, I just knew, this is where they throw the ball. And so good coaching on them and great anticipation by that kid. I mean, but yeah, 2 big pick sixes like that, that's so demoralizing to an offense. That's just, but yeah, that was crazy. I heard that one. What are the other, I don't know how the other ones landed out.
Yeah, so we got 2 left, and
Lyman Level, they're both just smash mouth football teams.
Yeah.
I mean, just from my experience in high school, it was a battle in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wins that battle in the trenches is going to win that football game. Yeah, earlier in the season, Lyman was able to pass, but they weren't able to run the ball as well. But it just came down to Lyman's touchdown and 2-point conversion in the first quarter.
Yeah, so some may look back at that 2-point conversion and kind of look at it because it might have been a controversial call there because the refs had to come together and discuss and everything, and you can't go off of instant replay in high school, and the instant replay was there and fans saw it, and it was interesting seeing that maybe that ball did not cross the plane. Like it was interesting to see, and you had to I guess trust the refs, and Lyman people were. I remember going to Applebee's after in between a couple games, and a bunch of parents were there, and one walked out, and he's like, I don't know, that win doesn't taste as well as the first one against Lovell, because they knew like, oh, we saw that on replay, like it should be a 6-6 game right now. But I mean, not to blame it on the refs, because the outcome was what it was, but like 8-6, you don't hear like that kind of score in high school football. Like defenses were disciplined, like 8-6 and through 4 quarters of play, like that's pretty good for a defense in high school in a state game. And like the two rush touchdowns, one by the kid from Lovell and one from Lyman, like that's all they could do is slowly get through the gaps and get a couple yards here and there. And my gosh, it was insane.
No, you're 100% right. That sounds like Wyoming football to me. Lovell, Lyman, 8-6 game. Shout out AJ Montanez in Lovell. He's a coach down there. And I will tell you guys, because you guys are Lyman guys, that they don't hold that against the win. If it was a bad call or not. He told me, he's like, hey, they won up front, and that's how it ended out. So I do get that though if it was a questionable call. But okay, so 8-6 Lyman beat Lovell. Was that 2A?
Yeah, that's the 2A, and then the 1A 6-man.
Little Snake River and then Campman. I think they got a little rivalry there. I think they're pretty close.
Definitely,
so gets a little chippy. I remember that game got a little chippy, but in the game when Little Snake kind of started to extend that lead.
Right.
Campman, just shove in, yelling at the coaches, flexing on them. Like, it was just one of those kind of games. But Little Snake River from the beginning just ran the table. Big runs.
I think that's the fun part about 6-man is that those huge runs, like you get around the corner and you're the only one there's green grass ahead of you. You better go. Like that's the fun thing about 6-man is there's going to be those 50, 60 plus yard runs that no one's going to catch you. You got a fast kid. Well, you better bring your track shoes, because it's going to be a track meet, because it's just down and back down. And then Little Snake's defense, I think, came up with some big plays, because they ended up putting that game away pretty dang well.
Yeah. 6-man's always fun to watch. And sometimes we get a JV or like a freshman, matchup in 6-man. So that's always fun to for our 4A kids to play some 6-man, and they get to experience that. And that's exactly what we tell them is be ready for a track meet, guys. Like you're just going to have to run and catch these guys. And then the offense is fun, putting some bigs out there and trying to get them the ball. But so what was overall in the championship games? What were your guys' records there?
So let's see here. We missed one.
3-2.
Yeah, 3-2.
That's pretty good.
I mean, most of that we had the stats, but then, like I said earlier, like it comes down. We also, like, as a panel, there's 5 of us here, so like we talk about it. We look at how these past matchups are common opponents, like stats, and we go a little deeper than what the Excel spreadsheet will tell us, and we take into effect like the weather and everything, and so like this will come down to the field goal kicker that Sheridan has. Like we just look at that kind of stuff as well. And maybe sometimes we look into it too much, but I think that the stats are a very good key indicator of what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and I think, the whole state, like you guys said, I don't blame you guys at all for, that first game between Sheridan and Rock was super tight, and, Rock Springs was rolling, and I mean, they were just pounding people, and don't beat yourself up to analyzing it too much. I mean, it could, you never know, it could always happen. But so that's cool. So you guys use stats, and then you guys as a panel kind of get together and maybe talk about some intangibles and things like that. That's awesome. You guys haven't done a next football season yet, have you? Like a too early? Because I know we were talking that the Wyoming football, is it Wyoming football or WYO sports, whatever, they've already got a
Patrick with Wyoming football went ahead and he did his too early, and he had some good insights. Something interesting that we had found too was about Rich.
Rich County So they're becoming Rich County, Utah. They're
Okay.
moving into the 2A West to play 7 games, I believe, against the whole entire west side of the 2A.
Wow.
We found very interesting. They will not be able to participate in the playoffs, of course.
Right.
The fact that we're bringing in a Utah team to play these schools, I found that very interesting.
Yeah.
But
What's the decision behind that?
It's a very unique thing. I read in a couple of reports that the Rich coach, I believe his last name's Cornea, and he said he was trying to keep the program alive. So the AD was looking for avenues, and this was one that they were willing to take, and basically took him out of state championship contention in Utah because now they're just playing all these Wyoming teams. But
they do it anyway. They've been playing like the Cokevilles,
Lyman, Mountain View
anyway.
That southwest corner, they usually hit up pretty hard in their schedule, but now it's opened up to where they'll play Kemmer. Well, they'll play Lovell. They'll play Thermopolis. Like all those teams on that 2A West side, Rich County's going to be in there, and they're a tough team year in, year out. Like they're those farm boys that they can put together a team, and for the 2A, it's going to be interesting to see. No, they're not going to be able to come to Laramie for a state championship game, but that's a pretty unique thing coming in next year.
Heck yeah. Oh, that kind of opens the door for other conversations. This northeastern side, you've got Rapid City and like Billings. That's interesting. And Sheridan used to play Billings in like a 0 week before. That's interesting. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Especially if they do well, against Wyoming teams, makes you wonder if they should have an opportunity, or the state championship has to be updated or something. That's interesting.
Right, because it's like if you were to travel, I don't know the geographics over there.
Yeah,
I know this because my wife is from over in Cokeville, and you drive from Cokeville, you on that same road over by Bear Lake area, and you go from Wyoming, you cut through Utah, and you're back into Wyoming. It's in that little spot of the corner where if Utah was a rectangle, that most of that southwest corner, they would be in Utah. So like it's pretty dang close to everybody. They're very familiar, and they play in most every sport: volleyball, basketball, football. Like they're a very common opponent, and so
very competitive. They've always done. They fare well. So, especially the last couple of years, I know.
Yeah, very cool.
And we think some like 4A Sheridan, definitely a team to continue watching for.
Because still have Colson Kuhn, got some returners from last year's team.
Yep.
2A, you got Lyman, got Ashton Housekeeper, who bursted onto the scene this year. And he'll be leading that team again.
Yeah, in the 2 years ago, he was wide receiver. And this year comes in and plays quarterback.
Okay.
Leads 2A in touchdowns, points scored.
Yeah.
Junior as well, like pretty good show out for him, and so he'll have a couple returners. They do lose key players up front in the trenches, so that'll be interesting to see the adjustments.
Yep.
Continuing with like 3A, I mean, Cody's got that program built strong.
Yep.
I remember watching after I was down on the field after, and he basically handed the state trophy to the kids and said, "This will erode. This will rot away." And he pointed to the team in the crowd and said, "This is why you play football."
Yeah.
And he was very, very, very. I was impressed with that statement from the coach, and they're not there to win state championships, but they're there to win. Like they're there to compete and to build that unity as a team. And I think that's I think that was truly a cool moment to catch on film and that. And so if you want, you can go watch that on our social page if you scroll down.
Awesome.
Into the state footballs, there's videos from, I believe it's the Sheridan kicker. It went pretty viral, and he jumps up and down and says, "We did it." And that was a truly amazing game. That truly the game plan was done down. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, in 4A, I think 4A is probably the only one that, you know, the top 4 or 5 are always up there, and then they just got to battle it out when it comes down to it. But any other fall sports? Did you guys cover volleyball or anything like that this go around?
Yeah, so we didn't really we used the panel to really predict those conference regional tournaments and state tournament games. We were pretty effective. Shout out to our fellow panel person, Ben Nieder. Like he also was there with us talking volleyball. He likes volleyball. He knows his volleyball and his teams, and he's very good at realizing if teams are on the like picking it up and how they're going to perform at state. And so we ended up I'm going to pull these up and make sure I'm getting my info right. But yeah, we definitely had the state volleyball, and it was interesting, the adjustment from last season, how they only did the 1 day and like the 1 day tournament, and that's all it was. And so this now being the Thursday, Friday, Saturday again, I think really let the team show out. So yeah, there were a couple games, the 3A and the 2A, that were 5-set matches like that. That's when you think of state volleyball, state championship, you always want those 5-set battles. That's what you want to see. And I know that 4A with Laramie and Kelly Walsh, in the regular season, Laramie back to back, maybe even back to back if I'm not mistaken. But they played Kelly Walsh, and they met up twice in the regular season, and Kelly Walsh ran the table. Like, it was kind of a beatdown sometimes. And we all know Alexis Stuckey from Laramie, the outstanding volleyball player, and her mom's the coach. Her little sister plays too. Like, tremendous family here in Laramie, and just to get there and really like show out, and they ended up sweeping them in 3. And so coming from that regular season, and we knew like this team is going to show up at state. This team is going to show up at state. Like, that's what we kept telling ourselves. Like, these teams, they have their they're going to be at state. Like, they're kind of one of the lock-ins. And so that was interesting that it ended up in a 3-game sweep because of if you look at the regular season, and they were battles, 5-set battles, and in Casper, maybe a 4-set battle here in Laramie. And
yeah, it was surprising. I remember I kind of took a glimpse on Facebook. They put a live on Laramie High School for us, and I just happened to click on it like 1 second. Like, I think Laramie was up like 2-1.
Right.
Then, or maybe it was like 1. I don't even remember. But then, like, I turned it off, and I came back like 15 minutes later. Kelly Walsh is on a winning set. I swear, like, maybe it wasn't 15 minutes, but it was Kelly Walsh. Like, I think it was in 4 sets. They won 3 straight. Yeah, because Laramie was up 1-0, and Kelly Walsh just went on a run.
Tremendous coaches from both Laramie and Kelly Walsh. Kelly Walsh's coach, I don't want to say it incorrectly, but he definitely has more, like, one of the coaches with the most state champions teams, state championships. So tremendous 4A matchup. We'll jump down to 1A because it's Cokeville. Cokeville and Casey. Cokeville's coming in winning 4 straight titles, and the last time this happened, this is a little tidbit too. Last time they were on a 4 straight state champions, they lost the 5th one. And so then they lose that back 5 years ago, and they start the trend again, 4 straight in a row. Come in with a new coach, the well-known coach that was there, Coach Thompson, I believe is his last name. Bill Thompson. And so he retired. There's a new coach coming in. You still know Cokeville has the athletes that are going to perform well. They squeak by in the semis, get into the state championship game, and the team that I think surprised most of, if not everyone, at the state tournament was KC.
Yeah,
like, they were a 3 seed coming out of the regional tournament. They don't even squeak by. Like, they beat Little Snake River hard. Like they were the 1 seed coming from their region, and so it was. And then getting to the state championship game, KC beats Cokeville. Cokeville's going for that 5th title, and Cokeville falls short of that 5th straight again. But KC, I mean, they came on at the right time, and they won that match 3-1, and it was it was a great game. So in 3A, I mean, this is from our valley where we grew up. It was the rivalry between Mountain View and Lyman, and like going through, like if you knew, like it's insane to think that these teams play twice in the regular season. They always play in the region somewhere along the lines. No matter if they win, they lose, one team's better. They'll always play, like no matter what. And then so we get to this state championship game. They played 6 times before.
Holy cow!
In the season, and Mountain View had ran the table. The only game that Lyman they had only won 1 game.
Senior night?
Yeah, senior night in Lyman, and that's the only game they won in the season. And then we get to the state championship game, and my gosh, the whole Bridger Valley, I swear, was watching this game either in person or on NFHS, because they just knew, like, this is an instant classic between these 2 3A schools, because just a tremendous outing. And it went down to that 5th set. It was a 5th setter, and I remember the last play. She's a great upcoming star. I believe she's a sophomore. Kate Walker from Mountain View rises up for the basically, I mean, it was a 14-7 game at that point, so Lyman was in control. But the sophomore rises up, tremendous athlete, and just hits it across it. Like, it doesn't go over, it like hits the net and crosses over, and that's how Lyman wins. And it was just insane atmosphere. Like, those 2 teams, like they've battled, and they battle in everything. Like, it's,
it doesn't matter what sport it is. That whole week is like a hype week.
Mm-hmm. It might be a biased opinion from us, but we would argue very, very hard to say that is one of the best rivalries in the state of Wyoming in every sport. It doesn't matter. Cross country, I remember high school John during the cross country race with the Mountain View runner. Like, I remember talking smack during the race with the Mountain View runner. Like, it's in every sport. Like, if it's a team sport, if it's an individual sport, that rivalry is strong.
Love it.
And the older generation does not let that die. So
they're going to continue that on. Yeah.
And so 2A, we knew Sundance, they were coming in for a 3-peat, and we were like, oh, this is a good team. Like, we maybe underestimated them in regionals a little, because they were having to face, I think, I want to say Bighorns from the same conference.
Yeah, I think they're
same region, and so they had met at their region, and so we knew it was going to be a good game. I don't remember if we picked exactly that bracket, but we knew that if these 2 teams met, it was going to be a battle, because
I think Sundance either got beat out in the semis.
I think it was the semis at regionals by Bighorn.
Yeah,
so I think that it was going to be a good matchup, and this was one of your 5 sets too. So it was a great game. I know some of these athletes from Sundance were like, they've been there. They know this atmosphere. They know what it needs to take, and so props to Bighorn showing out and getting that state championship.
Yep, stopping a 3-peat there.
Yeah. And that's just awesome. Like, I think for volleyball, it's kind of like you definitely have those coaches that can build those programs, and I think those programs will continue to be great. And it'll be interesting to see 4A without the great Alexis Stuckey, 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year. Like, that, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out now, because she's, as we know, going to Florida to play. She won the MVP at the Under Armour All-American game. Like, she is good. Like, she is one of the, like, right now, the last couple years in Wyoming, there have been athletes that we probably won't see talent that equals them in years, 50 plus years. I would not even fear to say, because like we'll get into swimming too and talk about Lander's domination, but the Alexis Stuckey was one that people needed to know in Wyoming. Like, this is one that Wyoming is going to be very proud of, such as Logan Wilson. Like that athlete, like that's an athlete that we can look back on and be like, yep, he was one that truly was an outstanding star from Wyoming.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I, running the weight room, talking to the girls, and they were like, well, Laramie's going to be, she's going to be tough to beat. And then just in the program in general, Laramie's always tough. But yeah, let's roll into swimming. Swimming, I think the state championships next week. Is that next week?
Yeah, next weekend we got 3A, 4A on. It's in Gillette, so that's where I competed, and I think they're trying to bounce it back and forth from Laramie and Gillette right now. So
yeah,
we both got stellar aquatic centers, so not a problem bouncing back and forth from there. But yeah, we had so conference swim was last weekend, and there are the definite powerhouse teams. Like Laramie has a tremendous coach in Tim Hudson.
Yep.
I remember walking into the pool, and there's he was National Coach of the Year by one of the associations, and so he's a tremendous coach. Always puts together a program, no matter the numbers, no matter if he wants to say, oh, this is a down year in athletes, he always puts together the team.
Yeah.
Laramie has a diver, Dylan Bressler, who All-American status as a junior in diving, which is tremendously hard to come by.
Yep.
Like you may diving, we all know that like they vote the dives and everything, but they had to send in those dives to get judged by and get it approved that they were accurate scores just to verify his All-American status. And then 3A, we always think of Lander, like 26 state championships in a row going on for this year. Like when you think of Wyoming swimming, people need to think of Lander Valley High School, because I've seen videos that they have that state title pennant already got the year that we're in. Like their confidence level is there, but they also have the athletes to back it up.
Oh, dynasty, man.
Yeah.
Huge dynasty.
And I know it was hard because they lost a coach a couple years ago, their head coach, Bill. And so Shauna had to take over the head coach now, and she truly has continued the legacy and the dynasty, and continues to have swimmers like come in, and like, oh, if you beat a kid from Lander at first state title, that's another thing onto that state title. Like, you may have won, but you also beat the kid from Lander. Like, doesn't matter who it is. They always have that one kid that you're going to be like, oh, yep, if I beat him, that's going to be amazing grace.
Right.
And so going back to Alexis as a star athlete in the state, Johnny Kulo, he's from Lander. He's a swimmer, senior, going to swim at Arizona State after he graduates. Arizona State's head coach is Michael Phelps. Coach Bowen. Coach Bowen was Michael Phelps' coach. And so amazing talent. Doesn't matter what he swims. He likes to push himself. So great athletes in swim world right now. And preview for 4A, there'll be your top teams: Laramie, Cheyenne Central, and Cheyenne South's always in there. Sheridan's got a really good team this year, and Kelly Walsh. So those will be your top 5 teams, and 4A is what we're looking at. 3A, no question, Lander will run the table for their seems like 100th title in a row now. But I mean, from when I was in high school, I remember we were state runners up, and we called ourselves the state champions, because we knew that no one's going to touch Lander. So if you get second, you should be the state champion. And so it's an interesting, and just like you said, a dynasty. But Lander, Green River, Buffalo has got some athletes too.
Yep.
There's a family up there, the Wonkas, and in swimming, it's if you have a family and that first kid that comes through is a good swimmer, you can almost guarantee that their siblings are going to come in and be better. Like it's just something about the swim world that if their siblings are good, they're just going to progressively get better. And so that's Buffalo's got a good family and some good athletes, Lander, and so
yeah. Buffalo always produces some good athletes. We just had Chris Brzezinski on because he lives up here in Sheridan now, so that's another Wyoming guy. Let's see. Any other fall ones we wanted to cover, or do we want to jump into basketball, guys?
Yeah, we could fall. Yeah, cross country was held in Ethity, Wyoming Indian High School. Tremendous atmosphere. That state course, the state meet, very well put together. Shout out to Wyoming Indian High School for that. I don't know if you were able to see some of those videos of the horse leading the runners and that after through the race, and just a tremendous atmosphere at the state meet. And
That's
Jackson,
awesome.
Jackson swept the Gatorade Player of the Year for cross country, so they're a powerhouse too. Star Valley's been there, and I think this was a down year for Star Valley and Coach Draney there, but I think that he somehow he'll just put those athletes together. He knows that they'll come out, and so he puts a team together. And so Peter Visser, he just graduated and is competing at Weber State. He's from Star Valley and tremendous 3-time, if not 4-time, state cross country champion, track state champion, record setter. Star Valley puts the athletes out, that's for sure.
Yeah, they definitely do.
I think golf, we had a 4-timer from Saratoga, I believe. The Bartlett, I want to say.
Oh yeah,
for cross country. Sorry, not golf.
Yeah.
And, so tremendous athlete there from Saratoga. Grady and Grant, and
twins.
Yeah, twins push each other. I'm sure if you're listening, Grady and Grant, after this, that's got to be a rivalry in itself, but it's also got to be pretty amazing to see to your side as your brother, and that's I'm sure that's a pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm quickly looking back to see because we do an athlete of the week.
I think the 4-timer was Hardy Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's exactly. Yeah, he was our first athlete of the week. We started this 20 weeks ago, and Hardy Johnson was the first athlete of the week. Yeah, he's a 4-time golf individual state champ. He led Thermopolis to the 4-state team championship, and he shot a 68 his final round. So that's a pretty good score. And I mean, we like to feature athletes that overperform each week, and I think that's become a pretty good highlight that WYO Predicts does is choosing throughout every sport, doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter the classification, we'll find you. We have the nominations open, and we get a good 150, 200 nominations, and we look into it. And so we'll find you if you overachieved or if you did extremely well. We'll find you because everyone's gonna give you a shout out.
Yep. No, I will second that. That's how I found you guys, is when you guys were doing your athletes of the week, and I appreciate that you guys do that because there are great athletes outside of the 4A, whatever sport it is, because 4-time state, champion in anything is huge, and then let alone whatever the sport is. So I will say that if for anyone listening that hasn't followed you guys and done the predictions, recommend whoever, if you're a 2A, 1A, whatever sport you follow in Wyoming, send it to these guys, and if that athlete performed, you're going to be athlete of the week. Awesome. Let's do basketball, guys. I know we've got basketball, wrestling, and then maybe track, soccer if we have time. But basketball, they've got what do they got? Like 4 more weeks, 5 more weeks?
Yeah, we're
It's
coming in.
winding down.
We got this week, probably 1 more week, and then regional. So yeah, 3 weeks and then 4 weeks to the state tournament.
Yep. Because then wrestling will be in about 3 weeks then.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, basketball right now. Who's kind of I've been following you guys, and that's what keeps me up with basketball. Is there's been some upsets and some close games recently.
Definitely, like overall, I think we're down. We kind of thought it was interesting to track the undefeated teams, and slowly but surely it whittled down, and I think now we're down to 2 4A girls teams that are undefeated, and Cheyenne East girls and Cody girls.
Okay.
Are both undefeated currently going into this weekend. I mean, it's like we started out with the first time that we looked at it, we had, I think, 12 teams in total. And yeah, we're down to the East and the Cody girls undefeated. Douglas girls had set a state record this season with 40. I think they went up to 48 consecutive wins.
Yeah.
So that if you think girls basketball, you're gonna probably think of the Douglas girls for a long time, and the dynasty that they had with Allison Fertig that's playing for UW right now. Been freshman of the week numerous times this season. So she started that there, and now they've got sisters for Douglas. Olson, Lauren Olson is the one that comes to my mind because we featured her as athlete of the week two times. She's the lone athlete as a 2-time athlete of the week for WYO Predicts.
Oh, awesome!
This last weekend, she
scored 44 points.
Woo!
Yeah, she broke the school record for Douglas High School for girls, 44 points. That puts her. I was looking at some like state record lists, and that's into the top 15. 44 points. Like there were numerous people at 44 points, but that's as high as it gets around here. Like that's pretty dang good. And she's averaging at the time. She's probably going into this weekend 26, almost 27 points a game. And not to mention she's a freshman.
Oh,
so like that. It's a tremendous sight. As a freshman and putting up 44 points, 27
cool. Yeah.
4.5 steals a game. Like, yep, that coach there's got it going on. That's for sure.
She'll be a baller in the next 3 years. Oh, yeah.
And another athlete that we know, Nathan Talich from Central. He's a common name in the Wyoming high school basketball world. Small school, my mind goes to Jordan Barraza from St. Stephen's High School. Okay.
Awesome.
He's this last weekend, he was competing for Athlete of the Week for sure. He had, if I'm not mistaken, a 42-point game and a 50-point game this weekend. And that man, he's on an island out there because he just shows up to every game, and
he leads his team. I mean, he keeps them in games, and that's what you need. You need a leader, and definitely shows. I don't think he's had very many low-scoring games.
Right,
for sure. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are above 20 points.
Oh yeah, I bet if I were to look at the stats right now, he probably does not have a game in the 20 points. I'm sure it's
maybe 30.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to help those coaches out and tell them to double team, triple team, or what needs to go on. But he puts up the points. So shout out to St. Stephen's and Jordan, and he was one of the first ones to send us a picture because that's what we're mainly relying on right now is fan submitted pictures, and he put us up one of him jamming it home. So shout out to him and for his athleticism and being able to show out in 2A basketball. We also got 1A powerhouses. I would say Upton High School.
Yeah, they're being
girls and boys. Like my word.
I forgot his name, but he's a stud. He's a senior this year. I think he's their point guard. He puts up the numbers too. Assists too. I mean, I think he's a double freak right now.
Wow.
I think he's put up a couple triple doubles this year.
Really?
He's really hard to do in high school.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
he's an impressive player.
And they also had like they're going for that back to back. I don't want to say that they won their first one, but I believe it was their first basketball state championship last week.
I think it's Luka Brooks.
Yeah, Luka Brooks, a 6-foot senior, plays for Upton High School, and so he's the kid to watch for Upton High School if you get to that 1A, 2A state title tournament, and he'd be a name to watch for. And
for sure.
The girls, Upton girls, we had a video that I had come across and requested permission to put out there of the Upton girls. They got some talent. They got some team connection for sure. In this video, you see she's running down the floor with a girl closely guarding her and just whips the ball behind her head. No look pass behind the head to her teammate for an wide open layup. And I mean that takes some connection. That takes just some chemistry there. So
yeah,
Upton boys and girls got it going on right now.
So kind of back to 3A. Douglas boys and Douglas girls
kind of rolling that table.
I think are probably the favorites to win in 3A this year.
Yeah.
Douglas boys are tough.
And I wouldn't count out the Newcastle girls.
Okay.
That's who picked off Douglas. And was it them? Yeah.
It was me.
Yeah, Newcastle. And last year I remember going to the state tournament, watching some games and looking at the roster for Newcastle and saying, this is a young team. Like this team's here and they're young. And that's dangerous when you're in Wyoming. If you get to the state tournament, you perform well, and you've got a roster of juniors and sophomores, you can't count them out. Like they've got that experience is a lot for a lot of sports around here.
Yes.
And once you get that experience and you can consistently have experience like that on the roster, on the team, it's going to help out. And Newcastle girls, tremendous job. Got some length. I've seen some videos and height. Like they're a very good competitive team that matches up well with Douglas and these point guards. And and team that's turning it on for 3A, I would say, Douglas boys are continuing.
Douglas boys
are in stride.
Rollins is tough. I mean, I know Douglas just came off a pretty big win. I mean, I think they hit 12 threes in that game to beat Rollins.
Woo.
On the road too, so that's pretty impressive.
Well, like you were mentioning, experience, especially like football. I think of all the big ones: football, basketball, wrestling. When you go into those big environments there for the championships, like you said, the experience is a big deal. If you're young and have never been there, could overwhelm you, or if you're somewhat young and have some seniors that have been there before, that's when you turn it on, and all of a sudden it's those tournaments can turn ugly for some teams quickly. What about 4A? Kind of hit on 4A. That's probably just that's always kind of muddy. You never know about 4A basketball.
It doesn't help when they kind of beat each other up.
Yep.
The top 5, when they get together, I mean, the 1 seed the number 1 will get beat by number 2. Number 2 becomes number 1. Then number 3 beats number 1. It's anything can happen.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy. And
for 4A boys, the thing that comes to my mind is the Stephen Curry effect. A bunch of these teams are relying on the 3, and you definitely see that in the results when a team is on. It's hard to beat if they've got 3 kids that can shoot the 3 ball. And Stephen Curry effect is here in Wyoming. Like it's a thing, and it's interesting to watch some of these kids that are confident with the 3 ball and what they can do. And
it's crazy.
I think Talich one. He's got I think someone was telling me he's over 50% or something like that.
I think there's a couple kids that are over the 50% mark, and
Crazy.
Kelly Walsh has a couple kids, and Thunder Basin.
Yep.
I like
Apparently, Kelly Walsh kids they can throw full court shots in. For heaven's sakes,
yeah. Going into the half, that was a fun video submitted that from 3/4 court at the first half buzzer, launches it and swishes it, and it's a great video and just fun to watch. Feature that's our main goal too, is to build this connection from the 1A schools that are tucked in the northwest corner to the big 4A school in the center of the state at well-known Casper. Like, we want to build that connection, and
For sure.
So it's not only the big schools getting all the attention. Like, there are athletes, and they're at every school. So that's what we are. We are proud to present and show everything that we can to build the Wyoming high school community closer.
Yeah, love it. I love it. All right, last two things. We'll do wrestling, and then if you guys if you've looked into like track and field or soccer, that's what we'll finish on. So, because wrestling will be coming up same time as basketball. Who are some standouts that you guys are following right now?
Yeah, so we had the big like indicator for wrestling pre-state tournament is the Ronthon in Riverton, Wyoming. And we wanted to reach out to more of the wrestling community through our Instagram and social platforms. So we went ahead and did some individual championship predictions per se.
Sure.
And we did pretty well. I mean, there were some individuals that definitely, and some teams, I mean, that performed extremely well. Coming off of the Ronthon, our athlete of the week was Lane Catlin from Thunder Basin.
Yep.
My heck, like winning the title, the belt at the Ronthon is one thing. When you can pin your way through the tournament in less than a minute, he averaged like 55 seconds.
Yeah. Holy cow!
If you can do that, like, that is tremendous. Like, that is insane. And so Lane Catlin, he was the heavyweight from Thunder Basin. Tremendous job. I mean, insane. And we had Dane Steele from Sheridan. He tremendous job. Colson Kuhn maybe didn't have the outcome that he wanted, but definitely a tremendous wrestler. And we had I think one freshman, if I'm not mistaken, that won the Ronthon, and that's a pretty tremendous feat too.
Yeah,
Ronnie Prophet from Kemmer. I know his older brother, Donnie Prophet. He was a four-timer, and so there's only, I think, 26 four-timers in the history of Wyoming wrestling.
Yeah,
so
we got a couple going for it this year, like Sefton Douglas of Lyman.
Yeah.
I think he's going for his fourth one this year, and I believe he won in the Ronthon as well, 1-0 by decision.
Yeah, the championship match.
Yeah.
I mean, there are kids that you know, and I know from talking around that some of these kids that might not be like that are competitive, like, they are going to maintain that, like you said, on and off the mat. Like, they are tremendous kids, tremendous athletes, and so it's a cool time to know that some of these athletes, the humility and the perseverance that they put into it and everything, and their attitude, and just how great that the Wyoming athletes are right now. And I think that 3A is going to have a big battle for a state team title. There are quite a few teams that were able to perform well in Ronthon. I think the team to watch for 3A is, can Douglas pick off Star Valley? I think that's a big question. Ronthon, I know this has all the classifications, so there's team points going in all directions, but Douglas ended up picking off Star Valley in the Ronthon by 15 points. So that's a good margin, but that's also, when you get to the 3A title, like, 3A teams. Like there may be kids from Star Valley that can perform well, and they'll turn it on. They've got a coach that has also got that dynasty going on in Star Valley, and so it'll be interesting to watch the Ewings from Douglas. We've got them featured a couple times, Athlete of the Week, the Ewing brothers from Douglas. I assume they're brothers. If they're not and they're listening, I apologize if there's different familial ties. But yeah, and I think not just like I remember. Let's see in here. We're looking at our social feed here, and and Sefton Douglas comments. They finished 9th overall, and his comment was Lyman had 5 kids, by the way, and so 5 kids, 3 Ron Thon champions, and they finished 9th in the team standings. That's a tremendous outing. Those 3 athletes from Lyman, 2 seniors and a sophomore. I mean, that's some good wrestling, and so hopefully we see that program continue.
Yeah.
I mean, also we the 2A teams. You always got to look for Kemmer. I mean, they've got that team, and I know Cokeville. Coach there's always got Moorcroft. Like these teams, these 2A teams, wrestling is a very dominant sport for these smaller schools, and I feel maybe sometimes it gets overlooked. Wrestling is a very dominant sport in Wyoming, and it was fun to also see female wrestlers at the Ron Thon competing. I would not be afraid to say that in the next couple of years we'll be introducing female wrestling to Wyoming.
Some weight classes.
I think that's something that we can definitely be confident in saying and looking forward to in the coming years.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Yeah, there's been a lot of great 2A, wrestlers that come out of like Kemmer, Moorcroft, great athletes coming out of those communities for sure.
Yeah, and I think wrestling, like if you haven't been to a state wrestling tournament, that's one of the few events in the state of Wyoming that, like, it's just an event to go and experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know nothing about wrestling, like it's something that will definitely make you want to know more and truly dive into the sport of wrestling. I remember I went a couple years ago, like 3 years ago. It was my first time because I had competed in other winter sports, not allowing to go. But I remember going to my first one and walking in, and I'd never seen it's the Ford Wyoming Center now, but I'd never seen that many people sitting in that arena, and I was very like the enthusiasm for every single match there is tremendous, and so that is definitely an event that people need to take advantage of in Wyoming because it definitely features some good wrestlers, good matches, and it's a great event.
Yeah, no, 100%. Perfect, guys. Okay, last thing is, do you guys have any very early, track and field, team, maybe individuals, and then soccer?
I know soccer last year, Mountain View girls, the program that was introduced 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They have a coach by the name of Jessica Moretti, and soccer maybe isn't one of the bigger sports in that valley, but definitely is growing. And they went to their first state of eligibility for the state tournament, qualified, and ended up 4th. And most of that team is back this year. So I would say Mountain View girls for sure should be a team that their other teams are going to prepare for, because they know that these girls, like, that's a sport that they really enjoy now. And I think that soccer is a growing sport in Wyoming.
Yep.
Definitely not a lot of schools, and softball too, growing now, like being introduced and having our first state tournament last year. I think that's a good sport too. But going back to soccer, it's definitely one that's growing, and Warland boys for sure. Like I think they've won. I don't want to guess how many games in a row they've won, but it was definitely big. And I think this year, with us growing as a platform and building our avenues will build this attention to more of these spring sports than just track and field,
Yep.
because there are these continued athletes that turn out for these sports, such as soccer and softball and track, and our coverage will try to do the best that we can. And we know that this year, with Sydney Thorvaldson from Rollins, dominance, complete utter dominance in track and field, the distance races, and so it'll be fun to watch what shakes out in track. We know that one of our featured athletes of the week, she competes for Torrington in track, but is originally from, I want to say, Southeast. Yeah. She's from Yoder, competes for Torrington and indoor track. Name of Jordan Stoddard. Tremendous athlete there. Like, she's won high jump and long jump a month in a row now competing.
Wow.
So she has high jump marks that we've compared to past girls that we know have competed. And from Lyman High School, we had a girl that was a tremendous athlete that won Gatorade track athlete of the year, and she's matched that mark in high jump. So we know that's a tremendous mark for Wyoming girls. And a long jump mark of 18.8 and a quarter, like, for long jump, and that's insane. The high jump mark 5.8. I'm not. Maybe I'm ashamed to say this, but that's almost jumping over me. Like, so that's a great accomplishment by Jordan, and definitely an athlete to watch for in track and field this year. And I mean, soccer. Going back to soccer, bouncing back from these spring sports, you know that soccer in Wyoming is not the best with weather, and it's definitely going to have some of these spring snowstorms. And I mean, it's definitely a tough getting back out to these outdoor sports in the spring of Wyoming is not always pretty.
Yeah. Same for track too. But no, that sounds great, guys. Well, moving forward this year, this is kind of your second year fully doing all this. People can send in recommendations of athlete of the week. Where do they send that stuff to?
Yeah, so every Sunday we post a thing that we call Sunday Spotlight, and so that is if you're on Instagram, that's just a very easy type in the box and nominate the athlete there. We also have an email, pretty easy, wyopredicts@gmail.com. And nothing special, just WYO predicts, like everything lowercase and everything. And there we've had photo submissions. We've had people get in contact with us to remind us of stuff going on in the state. We communicate. We have those notifications open, so we're open to these lines of communication. And we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Instagram by far is our biggest platform currently. Yeah. And so we're really trying to remind people that we are on Twitter and on Facebook, trying to connect not only the high schoolers to the high schoolers, but getting these parents, their grandparents, their aunts and uncles that live in Colorado, Nebraska. We want to build this because you hear it all the time. Wyoming does not exist. And that's something that we're out to do, is put Wyoming high school sports on the map.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Are you guys, any other goals you guys have? So we're doing athlete of the week, predictions. Are you guys looking to have a website or maybe a blog? You guys have so much information that, maybe writing some articles. Is that kind of in the forefront too? What's kind of the plan here in the next year for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. So shout out to my wife. She's currently designing our website that we hope to have launched this summer. And so we're definitely getting into that out of our level of comfort with technology, but we're definitely learning and growing as a panel as this progresses. And we definitely want to attack the front of a website. We want to get out to these events and people know, hey, that's not only the WYO preps, that's WYO predicts. We know it's closely named. We are different. and we don't want people to think that we're out to compete against other platforms there. We're just trying to build the connection with everything and make sure everything gets covered.
Yeah, well, and you said it well. I mean, it's get the athletes together, right? You know, some you know, a 4A athlete might not know anything about a 1A or 2A athlete, and you know, let's put those guys together and gals together, and then like you said, the families too. You've got families that live outside of the state and stuff like that, and let's, you know, we're promoting everybody. So I love that. Well, guys, is there anything else you guys want to say? I think that was great. I think, you know, hopefully maybe we could do when soccer and stuff starts up, we can kind of recap basketball, wrestling, swimming, and then, you know, soccer and track will maybe have started by then. So hopefully we can do this every not too much. You know, the seasons last a long time here in Wyoming. So, but yeah, anything else you guys wanted to add?
No, like, thanks for having us on, Aaron. We sure want to give a shout out to all the Wyoming athletes as it's coming down to state time, region time. Best of luck. Go out and compete hard. I know from my experiences that there's always something that can be improved on. So always looking for that area improvement and getting out there and competing well.
And just have fun.
Yeah.
Just have fun while doing it. That's the reason why we do it.
It doesn't last forever. I think that's something
it.
that I truly, if there was a time to go back into high school, it would definitely be a different experience because it doesn't last, and there's not an experience like high school sports. So 100%. I think that's something that if you're still listening, high school sports athletes, enjoy it while it lasts, because it's definitely a time that you'll always cherish and talk about, and like we do, like we get to, that's why we love this too, is that we get to reflect on what we were able to do and able to see in our high school sports times. And now we get to continue living this through the athletes that are currently showing out.
It's just fun. It's just fun to see the development of the kids from when we were in high school and how things are changing. Teams, the growth of schools, the athletic programs for some of these schools who may have struggled before. Mm-hmm. Now they're on a come up that we probably would have never seen without this. So it's just really cool to see. So
yeah, no, it's you guys are very passionate about Wyoming athletics, and I would reiterate that to any athletes listening to, you know, enjoy it. Do go and compete as best you can, and we've got WYO Predicts, and you know, people are out there watching and enjoy, you know, kind of the achievements of all the athletes. So appreciate it, guys. That was a long one. I appreciate your time, and I am going to try and have this out this weekend, so that way we can all, you know, share it out there and, you know, get this out before swimming and basketball and wrestling. So
cool.
Yeah. Let me hit